Welcome back, Local Decision 2024. I'm Eric Nelson. Thanks so much for joining us. And Leslie Larson from Blaine City Council, Ward 2, is in the North Metro TV studios. Leslie, good to have you back again.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're running for re-election. Let's start out with you can tell the viewers about yourself and why you're running again.
All right, my name is Leslie Larson and running for Ward 2 Blaine City Council again. And I want to represent Blaine again because, well, I've lived here for 16 years with my family, my husband, and we've got 5 kids. And we're very involved in the community. I'm involved in the community, my kids are involved in the community. So we really care about where we live, and I've got kids in sports at the sports center and the hockey arena, and we're all over the city and really care about this community and want to represent it.
So you've been on the council about a year and a half now.
Mm-hmm.
What have you learned in that span of time?
Oh, so they told me when I got elected, other council members told me that it's going to be like drinking out of a fire hose. And that is really the best way to describe it. It's a lot of information coming in fast, but I really give kudos to the city staff. I didn't know what to expect. I've never been on council before, so you don't know what to expect. But right away, they brought in a team in a conference room to get me acclimated with all of the departments. And pretty early on, within I'd say the first month, I met with each department head, walked through their department, learned everything there was to know, as much as they could tell me in about half a day each, to learn everything that I needed to know about the city. So we have a lot of different departments to learn about, and I've been able to learn because they were able to give me all that information, and I, kudos to them for all of that effort.
Yeah, and drinking out of that fire hose, you're not going to get all the water, right? But you've absorbed as much as you possibly can.
Yes, still learning every day.
What do you like about Blaine? Like you said, you're invested in the city, you live here, you've got your family here. What's going well in the city right now?
Well, we have a lot going well. What's really neat about Blaine is that it is a developed city. We have some older parts of Blaine, we have some newer parts of Blaine. It's overall rather established, yet we still do have room to grow. So that's the really neat thing about Blaine. A lot of communities are fully grown already, or they're rural and have, are maintaining the way that they are. But Blaine is really unique because we really do have that mix here. And the remaining parcels of the city that aren't developed, we can really shape at this point the direction we want it to go. Because we do have a vision for the city, and it is mostly established. So, just shaping those remaining pieces is a really neat thing that our community has that not all cities have.
What would you do to improve Blaine?
I think that we're going in a really good direction. So what would I do to improve Blaine? I mean, I really support the direction we're going. Mm-hmm. One thing that we're doing is we have the 105th project that's going on. Yep. Yeah, it's one of the largest projects in the Midwest right now. We're going to be getting a ball stadium, we're getting pickleball, we're going to have some skating opportunity on the front side. I know that they hired I don't know his name, it's a well-known landscaper person who's going to be making trails around the whole thing, so our residents can enjoy it as well as people who are coming to enjoy that space. But I can't remember the question. I forgot the question. I ran off on a tangent.
What does the city need to, improve on?
Yeah, so some of those areas that are underdeveloped that we're working on, I do think that we're elevating the city, and we are improving the city in ways like that through strategic moves such as that.
And you mentioned the entertainment district, and I've seen the plans as well. It's huge in scope.
Yes.
There's going to be a lot going on there. Do you think this will give Blaine that core, that downtown, that I think the city has wanted for a while?
Yes, that is what it's going to do. And it's going to be centered around activity, which is really great, and activity for all. Because the ball field, while some people have said to me, baseball is dying, which is not true, but it's not just baseball. So yes, it's a baseball stadium, but it will have a concert stage area, so now we can have concerts here. I know a lot of people don't like to drive downtown Minneapolis anymore. Now we're going to be able to have that right here in our city in a very nice area where parking is going to be close by. So we're going to have opportunities, not just baseball, but also that. It's also going to be able to house hockey tournaments in the winter. They can put numerous rinks in there, so we could have a state of hockey tournament in the winter. And I know there's also been talk of the Bentleyville that some people have seen in Duluth, where it's a drive-through area where you can tour lights and things like that. we can also house that in this arena space as well. So it's really going to be something for all, not just people with kids or not just people that love baseball per se, but it's really going to be a community space that can do all different kinds of things for the whole community. I heard that there's talks of potentially letting Spring Lake Park have their graduation on the field. So there's all different kinds of things that we can do in this communal space. Again, including the walking area out front and a lot of other things it's going to have. There will possibly be a housing component to it. And also, I know medical has been looking at going there. I believe that the medical that's interested would be very well suited with the sports. So a sports-oriented medical facility could go there as well. All different kinds of ideas. Oh, and 2 hotels, which is very necessary for all of the things that we have going on between the hockey and with the soccer complex. We don't have a lot of hotels in Blaine, and so this is going to be really great and bring it really central to the area that needs it with walking distance to a lot of those things. And the 3M Open, including that. Hotels for that as well.
Well, yeah, I was going to bring that up because what I know you're aware of this. You have the Target USA Cup or the 3M Open, these marquee events. People come, they play, but then they may go stay in Coon Rapids or Brooklyn Park or even at the Mall of America in Bloomington. So these hotels, you can capture more of the visitors, the tourists coming in, can't you?
Exactly, and that's something that I've been looking at over the years because 4 of my kids actually play soccer and are in the USA Cup. And that's something that I've seen with not just USA Cup, but tournaments every weekend, is where I've seen these Greyhound buses come in and they take all the teams on the Greyhound buses. You can see them lined up at every tournament, and then they take them to other places. Because what, do you have here for these teams? The hotel opportunity that we are thus far lacking, and also eating amenities and just things to do. I mean, right now it's like you can go to Panera, you can walk to Target, and that's kind of it for that area. So for these teams to maybe not have Greyhound buses take them elsewhere, because we're already getting the traffic from the tournaments, now let's capture those tax dollars. They can walk across the street, they can do all of these things while they're already here, and then we don't have that need where it's going to take them elsewhere to go spend their dollars elsewhere.
You brought up Bentleyville. I've been there a couple of times. There's a huge wow factor when you go to Bentleyville, and it's free. So I'm thinking if Blaine can equal Bentleyville, you'll not only get people from the area, but I'm thinking you're going to draw them in from, western Wisconsin, other parts of Minnesota. It could be another USA Cup type thing. Yeah,
that could be really neat for us. Yep, something that we're looking forward to. So, and again, it's not just this baseball traffic, 50 games a year. We're trying to look at how can we utilize this space year-round and attract people year-round.
All right, where are we on Minnesota State Highway 65? It's certainly been one of the negatives of Blaine the last few years, but we're going to see changes. There will be more pain before there's gain, but 65, when it's up and running, I think Blaine goes to another level, am I right?
Yes. Absolutely. So we received $200 million from the state. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is it's not just up to Blaine. It's a state road, so it needed state funding. So that was really up to our legislators to help get that money. And they did. So we have $200 million that has already been captured, ready to go. Right now they're working on the engineering stages because there won't be a stoplight. 95th will be the last stoplight that you'll see up until Bunker. So that's really neat. Originally, they were talking about the 99th, 109th, and 105th, but they were actually able to get more money than they had, than the goalpost was initially, which now allowed for 117th as well. So we're not going to see a stoplight until Bunker. So it's going to be up and over. The highway is going to go up and over. And so what that means is for commuter traffic going back and forth underneath, there will be roundabouts, like figure-8 roundabouts, on those main intersections underneath. So it's going to take a lot of work before the actual highway gets worked on, and that's what they're working on right now. We've got a great engineering department, but also a lot of this has to do with state engineering. So right now they're working on the side streets and all the infrastructure and logistical needs before they're going to get going on the highway. And when that is slated to start is the winter, the start of 2026, and it will go through 2028. So it's anticipated to be a 3-year project. But again, right now they're working on the side streets and all of the logistics so that when they rip off that Band-Aid and they start working on that road, we're going to have Ulysses, which is yet to be built up. So that's what they're working on now. But we're going to have Ulysses on the west side, and then on the east side we've got Lexington, Radisson, and other roads on that side that are going to be up to par by the time that they're going to start working on the highway. It's kind of fun though, because some of the things we don't get to have say over a lot of it, because again, it's a state road,
right.
But it is kind of fun that what's coming to council now is some of the aesthetics. We're looking at possibly the 105th intersection. Underneath, are we going to have it decorated with soccer type colors and decor designs and things like that? So under each, the overpass on the underside, it'll have Blaine characteristics. So while that's, really irrelevant to the function of the project, it's something fun that we get a say over at council.
Yeah.
Some of the more fun meetings.
Some curb appeal to the road.
Yeah.
Let's talk budget. That's not always fun. I know that there's talk about a 15 to 17% levy increase in 2025. There was a double-digit increase last year. So this is probably what you've learned in your year and a half is, hey, the budget is real, and you got to find ways to make things work financially, don't you?
Yes. Last year was my first budget cycle, and learning how everything operates on top of how do you want to spend this money, it was a huge learning curve, and they educated all of us as much as possible so that we could make the best decisions. All department heads come to us to tell us what it is that they need and what it is that they want. And then we look at, well, how far do we want to go on the needs and wants to move forward? And we cut out a lot of the wants last year, and like you had stated, it still was in the double digits. A lot of the double digit increase is because of inflationary situations. Cost is up for labor, as it is in every industry, us included. And a lot of those costs are run by unions. So a lot of the departments have a lot of union people in them, and so we have to pay the way that the union is saying that we have to pay. So costs have gone up in the labor department as well as capital needs. Gosh, I mean, we had Walters Recycling come into us, so again, not with the budget, but when they came in, they were telling us their costs. Their vehicles for a new dump truck have gone from $350,000 just a few years ago to $550,000. So, I mean, that's just one number that's coming to my head, which is outside of the city. They're separate, but those are the types of costs we're talking about when it comes to capital. So now, every 4 years or so is when we're ordering more police vehicles because of the wear and tear. They're running 24 hours a day. So all of those costs are going up. So labor and capital is most important, or the highest volume of dollars, and all of that went up. But the extras, we were able to cut out so much extras, and it still went up double digits, and we're facing it again now. For example, Public Works, which is equally in totality of amount and importance to public safety, those are our two largest areas of spending. One of the things that Public Works wanted, I think it was on page 42 out of 80 something, is that they wanted electric mowers. And I get it, they're trying to look resourceful into the future, but we said, you know what, this is not the year to do that. And they said, well, we want to see how they function so we know if it's a direction we should go. So we tampered with the idea of, okay, what about one electric mower? So you can at least see how it compares to the other mowers, but we're not switching out our fleet with this large cost this year. They wanted to paint the inside of City Hall. We said, you know what, that can wait another year. We are a top 10 city, and we should look it in a certain way. However, that was just not the time. And that's something that actually came to us again last night at workshop as we're looking at the budget this next year, which is also looking at that same double digits because of the mandatory costs, because of the labor costs, because of the capital costs. Just those things alone are driving the ship to a much higher price point. So the extras, again, we're looking at it. There's very heavy tables in the room that we do our workshop meetings in, and the Public Works guy was telling us, or the facilities guy, he was telling us, well, it takes 2 people for every table to move. If we get new furniture, it'll only take 1 person. That should reduce costs overall. I get what he's saying, but we're saying, nope, again, this is not going to be a year to add extras. Do we paint the inside of City Hall? Do we get the new roof that's necessary for some of the Public Works departments? We're going to say yes to the roof, but possibly no to the inside painting again. So, you know, at what point do we say yes to some of these things that over time are going to be more necessary as we move into the future? But again, we're just saying, again, this is not the year to add extras. With that, a lot of residents, and I know my opponent is also talking a lot about a community center. And I'd like to address that because a lot of residents at the door, I'm door knocking every day, they're telling me we need a community center. And I'd like to address that with the budget, because I don't know if people realize how much that would add to our budget to do that. But it's also not something we can choose, in a sense that it was on the ballot twice. The last time it was on the ballot that went to the public to make that choice was in 2016, and it was voted down. So if we took the time and all the resources it takes to find land where it could go, again, trying again, and have all entities come together to agree that this is a focus we want to put staff on. If, a big if we were to decide that was a direction to go, would that survive on the ballot and pass when it has failed twice before? In a year, when we're having those double-digit increases, why would residents lean yes now to even higher costs when they didn't before twice? So it doesn't seem like something at this time that would be worth sending that to the residents to add those taxes when we're seeing the increases even without it, and it failed twice before. So I don't see that as something we would put our resources in at this time. Also, because our city staff right now is working so much, their daily efforts are towards the logistics of the 105th project and getting all those entities with the sports center, developer, city, state, everything coming together to put that together. All resources are being spent, I shouldn't say all, but a lot of time is being spent on that, where they wouldn't have time to focus on a community center. So a lot of people are asking me at the door, and I'm sure they'll continue to do that, but that's something we could maybe look at in the future, but it's not something our budget could handle at this time.
Before we wrap up, you do a lot of door knocking, grassroots campaigning. Are you hearing anything else from the people you talk to?
Yes, so I'm gonna go there. So a lot of people have wanted to know about the fraud. There was fraud that happened in Blaine a year ago. And what that was a very well organized criminal organization replicated an invoice, because we are so transparent as a city. So I would like to go there, because I think at this point we can go there, that we can legally talk about some things. So our city had this occurrence a year ago where a criminal organization, because we are so transparent, our agendas say at the top who we owe, how much we owe, why we owe it. So we can become a target in that way because of the transparency. We were targeted, and a criminal organization was able to replicate an invoice, replicate an email. They replicated a lot of things that looked identical to a contracting company that we owed. And so this person at the city that normally does the paying, I don't even know who that person is. That's still under investigation. They recognized the invoice, recognized the signature line, recognized it all, knew this money was owed, and paid the $1.5 million to this, sadly, a scam organization. Immediately, the police were notified. Immediately, Homeland Security, the FBI were notified, and we were notified by the city. They had council come in, and they notified us almost immediately. Homeland Security said we could not talk about it because there's actually a lot of cities involved in this same organization. They've swindled a lot of cities, and the FBI was tracking the money, and so they wanted us to not discuss it while they were tracking it. One thing, and this was put on KARE 11, which has exposed this situation early, but one thing that KARE 11 did not say, and this is an absolute shame that they did not include this, it's a very important piece, is that $700,000 was retrieved due to the great efforts of the police department and the FBI. $700,000 was retrieved almost immediately, so we got almost half almost immediately. That was not stated. So some people are out there saying, oh, are we going to get, taxed on the 1.5 million? First of all, we got 700,000 back almost immediately. They are still trying to track the rest. Arrests have been made, and they're still hot on the case. We weren't supposed to talk about it because they are doing their job still. And that got exposed recently it got exposed on KARE 11. This had happened last year, and that's something that's still getting worked on. So that's something that we're still working on as a city also. But since then, if I may, measures that have been put in place is we're back to snail mail checks, and measures have been put in place so that this can't happen again, or hopefully it would be very difficult for this to happen again.
All right. Before we say goodbye, tell the viewers why they should vote for you, re-elect you to Blaine City Council.
I would absolutely love to continue being on the Blaine City Council. I feel like I've learned a lot, and I would like to continue to work on our budgetary needs, which is really the most important aspect of City Council, is how we handle the budget. I take it very seriously, and again, I'm learning as we go, and would like to continue to keep working on it to best advocate for your tax dollars. I'm a member of the city, got a family and 5 kids in the city, very invested in the community, and I feel like I'm the best fit for this role.
Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
She's Leslie Larson, running for Blaine City Council, Ward 2. This is Local Decision 2024.